Hi everybody. Like I promised, I was gonna do some videos, just explaining to everybody, like I said in the first one, basically what it's like, what I've done, what that was like, with the whole cancer thing. I noticed, going through what I have done, these last 8 years, there's a gap between somebody that does this and their family and friends, or just people that are curious in general to understand what it's like, what to expect from treatments or what it does to you, in your life. And I'm hoping to bridge that gap that there is there. I want to try to have, help people understand and just do my best to, like I said, bridge that gap and just educate folks. I haven't forgot. I've just been sitting here, trying to figure out how I want to approach this. And, it's been quite challenging. The things that I'm going to cover are, not pleasant. It's going to be really hard for me because a lot of these things that happened, it's painful, and I tried to bury that, and forget about it. And I'm actually gonna open that up and go through it again. So it's gonna be challenging for me, but I believe it's gonna be worth it, just to try to make everybody, aware of what's going on. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, oh, maybe I should go, drug by drug and say how that affected me. But to be honest with you, I'm not going to do that specifically because it was just so extensive. In order for me to go through everything, it would just blow your mind. So you guys are just going to have to trust me. I have quite a rap sheet, to be honest. I think we're going to have fun with this, because if it's not fun, then it's not worth doing. But I'm actually just going to kind of paraphrase what treatments I've done and, how chemo and everything went and radiation and what that's like. And like I said, it's going to be pretty raw. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything or hold anything back, because, I'd be doing everybody a disservice by doing that. And hopefully, any of you that are curious about what it's like and stuff, I'll be able to fill you in on that. I just wanted everybody to know that I haven't forgotten. I've just been sitting here trying to figure out how to approach this. And, it's quite difficult. On that note, I'm going to let you guys in to my life, and that's also a whole nother, how do I say it? It's like a whole nother, realm of feelings. It's just going to be really unique, and it's going to be a fun ride doing this. I'm kind of excited to take all you guys with me, and we're going to do it together. And I'm also if anybody has any questions, out of curiosity or anything like that, it doesn't matter what it is, just leave, put it in the comments. I am going to make it a point to answer all of your questions. If it's something that you want to ask me directly or privately, then you can just private message me. I am a high-tech redneck, so I'm sure I can figure this out. And I'll get back to you and as best as I can. And, I'll answer any questions that anybody has. It doesn't matter what it is. But we're going to do this. It's going to be fun. We're all going to have fun, and I'm going to have fun doing this. And, like I said, hopefully we all learn a lot from this. And anybody that, that has cancer, or is just starting a fight like this, put them in touch with me. Let them see this video and all the videos that are to follow, and the object of it is to maybe help somebody like that out. Maybe they'll learn a lot. They'll know what to expect when doing it. And also just, anybody that's kind of curious about what it's like to be in a day, to have a day like I do, and to move on forward. If anything, you'll look at your problems. I can promise you this. From this point on, when you watch these videos and you see what I went through and see how I deal with it and how I come out of it, you'll go the rest of your life thinking, well, if that guy can get through what he did and he's still like that, then, well, shit, this ain't nothing. And that's also really cool. I'll be able to help people out, and that's my main objective. But like I said, if you have any questions or anything you're curious about, just leave it in the comments, and I'll get back to you and address them, and we'll do the best we can do. I was sitting here when I was looking through all this stuff, which, like I said, it is quite extensive. I kind of forgot, I did a lot of things. For example, I was getting a really hard chemo regimen a couple years ago, and I wasn't able to eat at all. I was so sick and just so bad that, I pretty much, my body was eating itself. And I was down to 135 pounds, and for my frame and stuff, that's not a good thing. I looked like Skeletor. It was kind of weird. But I actually had to teach myself how to walk again, which nobody saw that coming. I was just so weak, and my body, there's a lot of muscle memory that it goes into tasks like that, and I actually lost that. So I had to practice going up steps, and it took a couple weeks. I kind of put myself through my own version of rehab, and taught myself how to walk again. And it's just so much stuff like that. Looking back on it, this is kind of going to be fun for me, because there's things like that I forgot I did. I left myself little notes and wrote things down, and I'm just going to talk about it. And like I said, it's going to be raw. Some of this stuff might make you feel uncomfortable, but I don't want to sugarcoat anything, because it just wouldn't be the same. But we're going to do this. We're going to do it together. And we're actually going to have fun doing it. And because that's just my style. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. And some parts I'm not looking forward to. But I'm going to start, with this video, just talking about what some of the chemos and stuff make you feel like. And doing this for, like I said, 8 years. I was diagnosed October 26, 2010. So in the beginning, how this went, I was, like I said, I was in the service. I was in the Army. My job there was, I was a Black Hawk crew chief, which means that I was a maintenance guy. I fixed and maintained them. And then the unique thing about being a Black Hawk crew chief in the Army is that you fly with the aircraft. So I was also a crew member. I flew. I was an instructor for many years, so I got to teach people, teach new young soldiers and soldiers coming into it how to do that job and how to fly. And it was an awesome job. So we were getting ready to deploy, where I was 2 months away from deploying, and we were doing all the train up and everything. And I noticed right here between my collarbone and my neck, I had a lump, and it started to happen so fast. It was just within 1 week, it became a problem, and I couldn't get my body armor on. It just wouldn't sit right because the lump was big, and my body armor was pinching my neck. And And I remember, and you could see from the other video, one of the comments, a guy by the name of Chuck Keller. He's a good man, a real good friend of mine. He was my flight medic at the time, and we were back at the barracks, and we were kind of joking. I was like, oh, I probably got cancer, you know, and he's like, oh, you know, Shawn, fat kids don't get cancer. That was kind of a funny joke, you know, back then. And, you know, a couple days later, you know, it became an issue, and my flight medic, Chuck, he's like, hey, you know, you might want to go get that looked at. And, you know, I always took, you know, what they said, you know, very seriously. So I was like, you know, I'm going to finish the training. And then when we fly back home to base, I'm going to go to the ER and get this checked out. In my opinion, I thought it was like a cyst, that they could just, you know, cut me open and get it out of there and I can still deploy. Never would have thought that it was going to be cancer. So I went to the ER still in uniform because I literally just got off the aircraft and went straight to the ER and was diagnosed there. And, you know, that was a day that I'll never forget. It's seared in my mind like the punchline of some bad joke. You know, it was just so surreal. And that's what kind of kicked this off. So like I said, that was October 26, 2010. This is when I really started. There was a lot of emotions and stuff when it came with that. You know, I was set in the mindset of deploying. I was in that mindset, that frame of mind that, you know, that you have to put yourself in to do a job. And I'm not gonna say where we were going or anything like that because it's just irrelevant. But so when I started, you know, they started me on chemo right out of the gate, and it was kind of really funny looking back because everybody, like all the doctors and everything I talked to, they were like, oh, Hodgkins lymphoma is just, that's what I have. It's highly curable, and you know, you're gonna do your 6 months of chemo and then you'll be back, you know, with the Army and flying and all that. And it started off being that way. It was almost, I hate to say it, but it was almost like a joke. They were like, oh, this is really curable and you're gonna be fine, you're gonna look back on this, you know. And well, I did my first month of chemo, and it was a drug called ABVD. Each one of those letters is a different chemical. It's also known as the Red Dragon because it goes in you through an IV, the color of red. It's like a neon red, and it comes out when you go to the bathroom the same color. So it's really odd. And I did that, and after that 6 months of chemo, my cancer got worse while on chemo. And that was kind of like for lack of better words, that was like a no shit moment, you know, because I was like, wow, I just did chemo and it got worse. During that 6 months of chemo, I actually still went to work. I got chemo 1 week and it made me sick, and I'd, you know, kind of nurse myself back, and I'd work the next week and keep working through it. I worked for like a year and a half while getting chemo. And that's kind of what it is. That was actually an okay regimen. It wasn't too bad. You lost your hair with it. You know, it kind of made you a little nauseous. It wasn't nothing compared to some of the chemos that I've done. One in particular, one was called ice. And what it made you feel like, what chemo makes you feel like is I know a lot of you had the flu. Everybody can relate to the flu. Chemo is a lot like that. It's that sick feeling, that soreness in your body, you know, for a lot of people. When you get a flu that's so bad that you're just laying in bed, you can't move, and you just want to die, that's how you live 24/7 on chemo. It affects everybody differently. So some people don't get the nauseousness. Some people get other side effects. But I always tell people, just plan on living the fluids. Like that when you go to bed, and from the time you wake up in the morning till the time you go to bed at night, it is constantly like that. It never goes away. Right after you get the drug and you get a treatment, it might take a little while for it to set in. Once it sets in, I say you're at the bottom of the ladder. And the cool thing about being at the bottom of the barrel is there's only one way, and that's up. You can only go up from there because you're at the bottom. So once you hit that bottom point, you'll start climbing out of it. Each day, you'll get a little bit better and a little bit better. And by the time you start feeling okay again, you're getting hit with it again. So it just repeats that cycle. And it's just like that the entire time. And having chemo, like I said, it's like the flu. It's like the worst flu you ever had. 24/7, never stops. And then some of the chemo regimens that I've received, you get that plus other fun things in that whole bag of chemo. There's a lot of side effects that you get. So not only do you deal with the nauseousness and just being so sick, like you feel a chemical dirtiness. Almost like if you would be out, sweating in the heat in the summer, and you're just so nasty, and you did it for 2 days straight without a shower, and you just have just dirt all over you, and your skin, you just feel so gross. And that's kind of what that feels like no matter how many times you shower. It is really weird. And that chemical dirtiness, a lot of times I was so sick, eating was out of the question, but I would just feel just so empty. Chemo, like some of the harder chemos made you feel so empty. Like you didn't want to watch TV. You don't have any drive to do anything. It just completely makes you into a zombie. The only thing that you can focus on is to keep breathing. And that honestly is a task. You're just so empty and so sick and just so hollow. But like I said, you'll eventually climb out of it, and by the time you do, it's time to get hit with it again. And it's just a never-ending cycle until you're done. And I've done chemos like that. The cool part about what I've done is I've done it for so long, like I said, 8 years straight, no stops, no breaks, just chemo, radiation, stem cell transplant, you name it. I've done it nonstop. And what's neat is I've seen what they did, the procedures, the protocol, the drugs that they did 8 years ago. They don't even use a lot of them anymore because they're obsolete. I have actually witnessed the way they treat this disease evolve and change and advance over time. And that's a big reason why I'm alive. What I've done is I was lucky enough to the drugs have worked enough to just buy me time in hopes that, as it stands right now, the technology to cure me doesn't exist. I am truly limited by the technology of my time. But as time goes on and I'm still here, they come out with these amazing drugs. I went from having chemos and everything that just completely destroyed everything. They were just a chemical killer. They would destroy your lung tissue, your heart tissue, your skin, your body. They would just physically wreck everything and kill everything. To now they don't even use them anymore, and the drugs that they're giving me now are called MABs, M-A-B drugs, like nivolumab. You see that on TV. Brentuximab, things like that. And what they do is they have no destructive properties whatsoever. They boost your own immune system to fight this cancer. So they're immune boosting drugs. So it went from giving you drugs and chemo that absolutely just wiped everything out and killed everything to specifically targeted drugs now. You're going to learn, as I explain all this, the science in it. And it is absolutely fascinating. Honest to God, it is. To see what they can do today it blows your mind, and I think you'll at least enjoy that. That's pretty neat. But like I said, they don't use any of that chemo anymore, and that's an awesome thing, because they learned that it doesn't work. That doesn't work. There's a fine line in the world of cancer that is run to where you're actually using chemicals to kill things, but there's no real sense of doing it if it kills a person that you're trying to cure. And they've really done a 180 when it comes to how they treat cancers. Now, for some cancer types, like every cancer is different, like every person is different. They use different drugs. They're still using some of those chemos, but not very much. I've had a stem cell transplant, which is a horrible process, but basically what that is they give you a chemo called Flubu, and all that drug's purpose is just to wipe everything out, all your counts, hemoglobin, white counts, platelets, everything goes down to almost absolute zero. And then they introduce stem cells into you. Sometimes they can do it from your own body. Sometimes you got to get a donor. I personally had a donor from Germany somewhere, never met him. And it's in hopes that since your immune system can't fight it or recognize the cancer, the donors will. From that's going to be another episode, but just briefly touching it, like there's a whole list of things that you have to live with for the rest of your life that are from that therapy. A lot of it are things that I'm dealing with, some damage that I'm dealing with now, even to this day. It's been a very hard thing. I've done that. I've done so much, honest to God. It would be so boring for me to sit here and list all the stuff that I've done, because it's just unreal. But what I can do is tell you what life was like during that period and get everybody caught up to where I'm at now. And then we'll go from this point on forward. So that's basically the game plan for this. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. We're going to talk about cool things like science and how your body affects that, how I personally dealt with things mentally to keep myself, not only entertained, but keep myself on the positive. And I'm just going to talk about a lot of experiences and life experiences that I got from that. And we're going to do it together. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to, hopefully, this helps people. And like I said, if you guys share the videos, share it with people that you might know that or dealing with cancer, or just would, something that I've talked or discussed could, help them in any way, please feel free to share that and to get that out there to them. That's all I'm really going to say today. Like I said, I haven't forgot. I got into a little bit of things today. I'm really sitting down, figuring out a way to approach this to make it not so dry, so that we could all have fun and we're not bleeding from our eyeballs, which is a good thing. I don't want to bore anybody, but we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into a lot of cool things. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm gonna open you up, open up my life to all you guys and all your questions, anything you guys want to do. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So I'll probably make another video here in the next few days after I get some things squared away. I got a couple things involving my treatment that I gotta get squared away here before I can, focus back on what I'm doing here. And I'm looking forward to seeing all you guys. So thanks a lot. It was good to talk to you again, and take it easy.